Good afternoon. Everybody awake? How many of you have recently bought a home? Anybody bought a home? घर खरीदा है? घर बनाया है? You made a sustainable home and you made your home sustainable, and these are very good case studies. Yes, amazing. You've bought a house? Apartment? Apartment. Yeah. Sorry? Nothing in control. नहीं, nothing in control. कौन सा developer का लिया? So I work for a developer, but I wear three hats, and I'm going to share a little bit about all the three hats that I wear. So I'm Sunita, and I head sustainability for Mahindra Life Space developer. So we are into residential as well as into cities, and we embarked on a journey where I was challenged to actually develop a net zero sales gallery first, and because I was very frustrated with our entire GHG emissions rising, especially on our scope 1 and scope 2 emissions. And I told my CEO, I'm coming to meet you and I need your support. So he said, okay, what's bugging you? So he told me that, I told him that our offices are really bad, the kind of sales galleries that we are designing, they are energy guzzlers. And so I went on and on about it. And then he said, okay, at the end of that meeting, he said, let's make a net zero sales gallery and office. And I'd never done it. And I'm not an architect. But I said, okay, I went back to my boss. I said, he said this and we have to do it. So that's where the journey started actually. But Mahindra Life Spaces has been a great, what do you call? Probably a leader, if you may say, for the green building movement. And we have led from the front uh, ever since, right from the beginning. Part of Mahindra Group started reporting in 2008. And because we started reporting, we started doing, Mahindra Life Spaces had to, generate all the data for the carbon emissions and materials and so on and send it to the group. And then our CEO at that time said that, let's start doing our sustainability report. That's where the journey started in 2014, where we said we will have a completely 100% green portfolio. What that means is to be able to have everything should be a green building. Okay, so that's where the start was. And then we went on to develop at scale. These are high-rise residential buildings, and that gentleman who said it's in the developer's scope and I have nothing in control, but the biggest control that you exercise is, have you actually asked for the right home? Or have you actually asked what you're going to buy? And I think as consumers, we forget what we need to ask when we are going and buying a house or working in an office. We actually don't ask any of these things. We come into a building, if it's cold, we'll put a jacket on. If it's warm, I don't know what, we'll put the fan on or something like that. But we are really not thinking through our lives as to what are the right decisions we are making. Uh, yeah. So India's first net zero energy home was designed after the sales gallery. So in that sales gallery, we made it a net positive sales gallery. Um, and and I'm going to actually talk to you about Mahindra Zen, which is the third net zero energy and waste building. It's in Bangalore, and you must, if you get an opportunity to visit Eden, please do. It's not a very dense development, but it is high rise, and you are basically getting a slice in the air if you are a customer over there, and then you will say, okay, what can I do over there and how can it be a net zero building, and so on. And likewise for Mahindra Zen, again, not a very dense development, but nevertheless, just wanted to show the journey. We've taken a pledge after that, my conversation with the CEO. I said, okay, let's, why don't we sign a pledge? And he said, yes, we should. And anyway, the group had a carbon neutrality target, and we said we'll do energy, waste, and water. And out of these three, water is very, very, very challenging. If you were to do it project by project, it is going to be extremely, extremely difficult and extremely challenging. And water, and there is a lady, Mridula Ramesh, and I don't know if many of you know, she is the MD of Sundaram Group, and she is heavily into water. And I'm quoting her: if climate change is the shark, water is the teeth. And trying to crack water is very, very difficult. And given that cities have actually centralized water, and we no longer have decentralized approach to water, it is becoming extremely difficult with the high FSI that we have to get to net zero water project by project. We can still go and offset it somewhere else and still do a large water conservation project in a watershed, but that shouldn't be the goal. Yeah. So I would like to place this just right before I, start with GNFZ. I think it's a great platform, and with a single-minded focused on double zeros, we started this very small, I would say, or a good exercise with one administrative block building in Mahindra World City, Chennai, and where we said, okay, we've completed the assessment stage and now we are in the plan stage. And that plan actually helps us push the operational and maintenance guys to the various milestones or achieving the plan. And while an organization can have a net zero plan, if you do project by project, and then if you're able to, push the people that this is where we are, these are the initiatives that you can take, and it actually helps us budget what initiatives have to be done for that year to get to that plan by 2028. So that's what we are looking at. Um, and this is the other hat that I wear, which is the Decarbonization Business Charter. There are about 8 odd signatories sitting in this room at this point of time. And this platform, we felt there was a need for bringing everybody together. So while certification bodies do bring the ecosystem together, there is a gap where people have not yet committed to what needs to be done. So commitment is very important. So when you do not commit or even have your own carbon footprint, you've not calculated your own carbon footprint, then you wouldn't be able to say how much you're going to do for your customers. So while many of your projects you have calculated the carbon footprint, have you done yours? How many more of, I mean, out of your entire portfolio of clients, how many, what are you committing to in the next few years? Would you be doing all of them net zero, or 25% of them net zero, or so on? And also there is a need for holding hands. There's a need for collaborating. So committing to the 6 priority actions, there are 6 priority actions that we have outlined, out of which we have designing net zero buildings, low embodied carbon products, energy efficiency, building codes and policies, and alignment. And Selvaraju sir, he spoke about what we are currently doing with respect to the code, and that brings me to the last hat that I wear, which is of GBPN. I chair the Global Building Performance Network. We are into it's basically an honest broker for helping governments deploy the right policies, especially now the work that we are doing in Kerala, where we are helping the government over there to, with your platform actually, to even the buildings RETV values can now be checked by the authorities. The energy management cell in Kerala will be able to check it through the digital platform and see how many of these homes, even the individual home buyers who will then take approvals, will be able to say that this is a well-designed home and follows the strategies that are required. So that's the third hat. But coming back here is the signatories have to refer, commit, contribute, and report, and that's important. And in a recently concluded meeting that I had with Ishre, what I realized is even CEOs were not able to, while they are attending conferences and and these sessions are important, these master classes are important, probably for more CEO level people than for the middle management, where they were not able to even give the full form of science-based targets or CDP or even GHG for that matter, what GHG means. We got a lot of different answers, and that was funny, but it's actually a very serious thing, because there is a need to actually come together. Okay, so in this case, Bangalore, of course, has a problem of, I'm just going to the case study, it's a case of missing greenery. And people may not believe it. Bangalore mein ped abhi bhi hai, aisa lagta hai. But if you if you see this is data, and I mean, maybe it's fudged, I don't know, because we still see a huge number of trees in Bangalore. But when you see the individual homes, those individual homes are till the end. They're till the end. There is no tree within your property. And when you see a high-rise building, you can have a green pocket on the podium, but you don't have a tree. And that's not very good. So 70% of the buildings that are yet to be, there is a requirement by 2050 is yet to be constructed. So it's an opportunity, and buildings are responsible for 34% emissions, energy consumption, and over 36% indirect and indirect CO2 emissions. And Bangalore is expected to have huge influx of population, and Bangalore is hot now. Okay, so you can feel it, and it's February, and it's hot. And so is Pune, by the way. And then it was actually good to see some of the lakes rejuvenated, and they are looking cleaner. But there is a 88% decline in vegetation cover and 79% decline in water bodies. Where did the water bodies go? They were built over. Electronic City is sitting on a lot of water bodies. So when we decided to do net zero energy residential homes, we had to look at demand side energy management. And I don't like to call it demand side energy management because it doesn't make sense to many people. So when you talk to architects, it's actually climate responsive design. And if you design sensitively, you'll actually have to look at the design and the use of glass. And I'm not a big fan of glass. I know Saint Gobind is sitting in this room, but glass is almost like tobacco, right? And you have to use it with a lot of care. And glass was never used in India before it became usable. So we had those small window panes, and we had wonderful windows. And if you try and look at the history of windows in India, and along with history of architecture, you will see the different types of windows we used to actually make, from the Khadkori in Kolkata to openable windows, and different types of windows you see all over the country. So we looked at demand side management, and we had to break our heads with the design team, and that was we did all of that what Samita spoke about, which is degree, discomfort, hours, thermal comfort, explaining the concept of what is thermally comfortable to you, and so on. Then looked at on-site renewable energy, and we also realized that there is no technical expertise in-house, and we actually got help from Swiss Development Corporation for helping us with the climate responsive design concepts and ingraining it within the organization. So before I went to the MD, we actually had done with BEEP, under the BEEP Building Energy Efficiency Program, 8 projects where we had taken the building design and said, this is how it should have been designed, this is how the wall to window ratio should have been, and it was done with GKSPL. And we took their help and technical expertise to get us to reduced uncomfortable hours. And in this project, basically Zen, we looked at 63% percentage uncomfortable hours that had to be reduced, uh, uh, was about 63% reduction we were able to achieve. We looked at waste management and water management, as well as biodiversity conservation. So climate responsive design. And one of the things that we did was, I call it positive licensing, because Karnataka government was not willing to give renewable energy for LT consumers. So HT consumers there is by law, but the Central Electricity Regulatory Commission had put out a note saying that anybody who wants renewable energy will be given that. And we took that document to BESCOM, and we did a lot of conversations with BESCOM. And then finally, 23rd September 2023, KERC amended that regulation and for providing green power to from the grid to the residential consumers. So imagine the project was launched, and my CEO kept asking me, when are we getting it? When are we getting it? Because we had made a claim, right, that this is a net zero building. So we had to, so my resignation was in my pocket, and 2023, I said, okay, fine, I'm not resigning now. Yeah, and we partnered with IGBC, of course, on this, and looked at waste, water, and biodiversity also. And I'll come to the waste story, though, reducing the 63%. We realized that 63% of the spaces were uncomfortable in a year in the natural ventilation mode. And we looked at how that can be optimized and what actions can be taken in terms of vertical fins were introduced, horizontal overhangs. And typically when you're working with a developer, the CFO's office or the project management office, they'll say, fin kam kar do, yahan pe शेडिंग डालने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. So they start optimizing everything. Okay, but one of the things that worked in my favor was that the marketing team wanted a sill which was, very, very low. So I call these naked buildings, which has a very low sill because it brings the heat in. It also increases the cost of the glass that you're going to be putting it, because I'm going to say I need a performance glass over here. So so we moved the sill. I'm still fighting for removal of the fixed pane because why do we need it? Because it's got a more practical issue apart from getting the heat in. How do I clean it? So I'm going to bend over. I don't know whether I'm going to fall, and it's a high-rise building. So there's a safety element associated with it. So we were able to actually get to the national bench, near the national benchmark. For the proposed cases, and RETV, of course, is a measure of heat gain into building, and that's what is used in the residential buildings to understand, okay, what is your building RETV, so that the thermal performance, it has to be lower than 15. So with each tower, we looked at what is the RETV value. So these were some of the shading interventions that we did. And EcoFirst is actually our consultant for this project. And with them, we were able to identify what would be the optimum vertical and horizontal shading design. So the projection factor is very critical. So either you do it this way or you do shadow mask analysis. How many of you who are consultants here will be able to relate to that? With that, I come to net zero waste, and net zero waste appears to be, something that these are all the R's. So replace, reduce, reuse, recycle, and refuse. But I would like to place the refuse first, and I draw a lot from what Deepa mentioned about, whether a particular thing is necessary, modularization of designs, even the tiling, and work with the design team on, how you should actually design the whole thing. And prefabricated components and materials that produce and generate less waste is what needs to be taken into account. So some of the actions, so right from the design phase, construction phase, and marketing and consumer engagement. And with consumer engagement, I will come to the consumer engagement piece in some time. But in the design phase, primarily estimating the waste quantities right up front, reach out to vendors for the solution and the space requirement, and shortlist the space requirement to the designers and the architects, and finalize it. How should the design approach be? And construction phase, we have a very interesting model for the construction phase, because we actually make sites compete with each other. So we go to the site, we assess their performance, it is called the sustainability maturity assessment model. We give them a score. If they are doing things the right way, we actually get them to quantify all the interventions that they make on all sustainability initiatives, and with materials they are able to show the savings. So we get initiatives that they are doing for, say for example, lightweighting of balcony. So they are doing balcony, and instead of using the concrete in the space that is slightly lower than the room, they are lightweighting it with the debris that has been used, or the AAC blocks that have been lying in the site. And communication is important. I know I have run out of time, but I'm going to continue for a bit. Um, so, so we did something interesting with the communication piece, and I actually made my boss feature in a video with an influencer for doing composting. And I'm going to share that with the GNFC team, and you can circulate that. So he actually did a very simple video as to which types of waste in a house has to be composted, where you have to recycle, how do you live sustainably from the use space point of view, and from the facility management's point of view. 100% natural composting is what we go for. We don't do organic waste converters, which are 24 hours at all. That is a huge no-no, because composting cannot happen in 24 hours at all. It has to be. And we fight with the design team and the architectural team to give us space to do it, do the natural composting. The other thing is making provision for dustbins for the secondary collection of the waste, the resource recovery area, and engage with the vendors completely, so that who is going to pick up what kind of waste during the operation of the building is very, very important. So to that extent, we had to work with the in-house teams as well as with the procurement team, because the procurement team they were continuously pushing us, no, we should get that 24-hour composter. I said, nothing doing, we are not having a 24-hour composter. So the construction phase, a lot of things that come packaged, we work with them to send it back, that you do the reverse logistics. A lot of it is we push the site teams during the construction phase to reuse and repurpose, and with the design team, optimizing of designs, and also challenge all the waste thresholds. For example, if you have a man and material kind of a contract, and you say, okay, 5% to waste hoga. So I went to a site, and there was a heap of sand a day before, and it was this high. And the next day I go to the site, it had rained at night, the heap was half, and I go to the site people and they say, no, it was contractor's waste. I said, no, we are accounting for it. So it can't be contractor's waste. It's a material loss. That material loss has to be accounted. So we have a very stringent gate in, gate out process. Everything that comes in, whether we call, developers call it, whether it's a free issue or whether we are buying it, has to be accounted. So accounting is very important. And so reduce packaging, reduce construction waste, reuse whatever is possible, and then send many of the items for recycling, especially the things that can be recycled, especially glass and steel scrap. These are some of the initiatives we have started, getting the site teams, even if it is few thousands of rupees, but to quantify what is the change in the number because of the initiatives that you are doing, and calculate that. So for example, if you, the lintels that are made from debris, or, when we do what do you call, for water curing, we still use water in certain places. Not curing compound is not used everywhere. So for the slabs, there's something called a vata. Vata means it doesn't allow the water to move out. So that vata is made from that concrete. So what is the savings if you would have made it out of the cement and concrete that you have? And then, the reuse of the excavated muram. Muram is very, very costly if you buy it from outside. And also the topsoil is preserved. And we try and ensure in the during the construction phase to have areas marked in the logistic plan as to where you should be uh, storing things. Otherwise, you can very nicely forget. These are some of the actions for keeping the metal scrap. The metal scrap can also be made into the finished product. Uh, this is for an affordable project where the metal scrap was used to make that drainage. And the drains, and imagine, have you ever been to a construction site where they do composting of office waste? And if you come to our offices, I'll take you there. We do composting of the office waste, and thanks to Daily Dump, we've got very nice, this is Gobble Max composter. So that's what we do across project sites. There is composting happening. So they get a feel of the compost at site, and then they know that this is how compost is generated. So it helps us with employee engagement, but it also helps us reuse all the tea that we are drinking, all the tea leaves and the coffee. So a lot of concrete is reused at site, especially if you have to make the labor areas, so that concrete is reused. And by law, now the developers are supposed to reuse about 20-25% of the waste with the new regulations on C&D waste. So these are the other savings of construction waste. A lot of it, the projects team pick up. Yeah. So also, when you have show flats which we do, that furniture also has to be reused, because we were worried about the traceability, what's happening, is it auctioned, do you let it off, and so on. So tracing all of that. So reuse old furniture from Eden in Zen, that was done. Demolition waste was reused. So, and in the use phase, we are looking at garden waste, dry waste, wet waste, hazardous waste, and e-waste, and tie up with the authorized e-waste recycler. And hazardous, the wet waste, of course, 100% composting, and garden waste also 100% composting. But the dry waste is where it is very challenging, because there is a lot of behavioral intervention that is required. So we have aimed for 95% diversion, and 5% rejects, and that's what we are looking at. These are some of the designs for segregation. And this is the product impact that we are looking at. And yeah, so zero actually is the next big thing, and we should all get to zero.